What we'd like to do here is just get you used to the page of Desmos playing with functions the way we want to play with functions. So you can see over here, you can see the equation. I don't think the equation is going to do us a whole lot of good. I want to play with this stuff. The name of the function is f of x. And so what I'd like to do is make the kinds of changes that we've already seen. For example, if I go into this spot right here and type f of x minus 1, we know that's supposed to move the graph 1 to the right, and you can see the new graph, the red one, is exactly our graph moved 1 to the right. If I change this to f of x plus 2, how about this? Plus 2, like that. We know that putting an x plus 2 on the inside is supposed to move the original black graph 2 to the left, and sure enough, it does. We can make outside changes as well. If I take f of x and I make an outside change by adding 3, it's supposed to, and we can move this a little bit so you can see it, it's supposed to take the original graph and move it up 3, and certainly did. If I want to change that a little bit and say subtract 1, that's supposed to take our original graph and move it down 1, and sure enough it does. This will allow us to make several changes at once. If I put a minus 1 on the inside, that's supposed to move it 1 to the right. If I put a plus 2 on the outside, that's supposed to move it 2 up. So you can see a graph that's been moved 1 to the right and 2 up, which is great. This also makes the kinds of changes we've seen in the last couple days. If I put a negative on the outside, that should just flip the whole thing upside down. And you can see that that's exactly what we get. We see it flipped upside down. And by the way, you see the graph here is now symmetric with respect to the axis. I mean, the whole picture is. The graph by itself isn't, but we just flipped the graph upside down. So let's take that minus sign back away and just have our original function. If I put a minus on the inside, that's supposed to flip everything over the y-axis. So it's going to flip everything from right to left and left to right. And sure enough, I'm going to move this over and zoom out a little bit. So you can see that's exactly what happened. The black one on the right-hand side was our original function. You flipped it over. It made it on the left. Finally, if I put a minus on the outside, that should have flipped it over to the left and upside down. And sure enough, that's what you get. And of course, this actually does all the kinds of changes that we've made before. One that gets a little bit confusing is if I put a minus here and then x plus 1, you should try to figure out in your head, what in the world did that do? Yes? What in the world did that do? Yeah. It actually flipped it. I'm sorry. The very first thing it did was starting from the inside and working my way out. It shifted it 1 to the left. Then that minus sign actually, instead of folding over the line x equals 0, it folded over the line x equals 1, and then took that graph and flipped it upside down. And of course, we can make outside changes as well. And that's pretty much all the kinds of changes that we've made. What we want to start doing now is stretchings in addition to reflections and shifts. So please play with this and have fun. We're going to be using it a lot in a couple minutes.